stack up with any book, published, elsewhere in the world. So that's really important. Then I think, what would be like the most important tip for me to them would be just, they need to invest in marketing.
The book business, like any other business, is challenging.
If you ask anyone who's running the business in Nigeria, they will tell you capital, of course, right? It's. Book selling is also, as with any other business, is also quite capital intensive. Like, getting to pay your rent, getting to actually buy the books and stock up like your shelves when you have them. Hiring good people requires like decent amount of capital. So I would say it's getting the startup funds to set up something, and then if you're looking to do it at scale like we're hoping to do, then it also requires you raising funding, which isn't readily available in commercial banks, right? I don't think a bank would say they want to give you a loan to set up a bookstore. They probably will be skeptical about the number of people who read. So for us, I think it's just I would say capital is at the top of a totem pole.
It is commendable that certain individuals and organizations are making concerted efforts to revive the reading culture in the country. The government should also redesign the school curriculum to incorporate more reading activities in primary and secondary schools.
Nigeria is bleeding. Nobody is safe again, says ex-Jigawa Governor Alhaji Sule Lamido. And mass expulsion looms as the APC goes tough on litigants, while a crisis in Enugu APC causes a former speaker and ex-governor to be expelled. Interesting. Well, this is Plus Politics, and I am Mary Anacone. I guess the big question tonight is anyone really safe in Nigeria? Because the former governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Sule Lamido, certainly thinks not. He lamented the high state of insecurity in the country, saying that Nigeria is bleeding. Lamido added that no one is safe in the country. He also said that former President Olusegun Obasanjo had reinforced his faith in the country despite the appalling situation. Now, during the course of the year, several leaders and other family members have suffered attacks. A most recent example is the murder of the son of Senator Bala Na'ala by a known gunman. Earlier in June this year, Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje and his Jigawa State counterpart Muhammad Baduru had narrowly escaped being attacked by bandits on a highway linking Zamfara and Kano States. Well, joining us to discuss this is Terence Kwanum. He's a security expert, and Segun Shopiton, who is a good governance advocate. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Great. I'm going to start with you, Terence, because it now sounds more like, unless I don't want to make it sound like we don't value the lives of people that are dying, the lives that are being lost every day, but it sounds more like music, because every day we're saying this person is kidnapped, 100 people were killed. It's just now numbers. But when you hear no one is safe in Nigeria, does it sound a bit over-exaggerated, or is it our reality today?
Yeah, no one is safe in Nigeria, and it's the reality. But the good news at the moment is that people that have given the intel that the security people have needed all along to be able to stem this bandits and these terrorists from the bush have started coming up. Because in time past, we have seen people like Governor Otto have cried out that the people that are killing him and his people are foreign Fulani people. But there were politics that was involved in the whole process. But of recent, we have seen the governor of Katsina State, who has come out to openly confess that the people who are killing people are fellow Fulani people like him, are from the same ethnicity, and that they know them. Now, if we have very serious security people in this country, it means that they have had enough intel to be able to go after these people, because the governor has told the country that they know the people that are attacking them. Then we have the likes of Bumi that have come out to tell us that they are coming face to face to meet these bandits. And then we have the Miati Allah group that have had their own claims. So we expect the security people to have stood on to this intel and be able to tame these people in the bush once and for all. Because now the bandits and the unknown government, they have faces now. And so it's for them to be able to go out and get them. And another issue that we have been singing like a song is the use of technology. Because we know that we have a lot of ungoverned spaces in this country, and we know that the forest they are talking about, these people who find them, they are part of our ungoverned space. With security, you can be able to track these people exactly at their location, or the effort to be able to hit them from those locations. So everything we are facing in this country is at the largest of the political leadership and our security personnel, because we have enough intel at the moment now to be able to make Nigeria at least have a sigh of relief.
Now, there have been calls asking that Nigerians defend themselves. And this is not the first. I mean, the Katsina State governor has said it. The defense minister has said it. Afenifere has said it. I mean, literally everybody's calling for Nigerians to take up arms and defend themselves against terrorists when we have security agencies. And now you have also pointed to the fact that, well, there seems to be too much of politicizing this security issue, and that's why we are where we are. Don't forget also that on the other hand, we have so-called repentant terrorists who have come to say that they're sorry and want to be reintegrated into society. And the army, of course, has its plate full, having to deal with debriefing them and knowing whether they can be brought back into society or not. That's on the one hand. And then you have people like the governor of Benue State who's saying that the federal government is not dealing with this issue as it should be dealt with. So I'm asking, what exactly do we tell people who are on the receiving end of this banditry, this brutality, because they're losing families, they're losing loved ones. I mean, even our soldiers who have lost their comrades, in the line of battle. What do we tell them? Because it seems like there's so many voices, but there's not one voice telling us exactly what we need to do or what direction we should go in.
The only reprieve you give to an average Nigerian is to make sure that you go into the bushes and offer the political leadership that will be able to end this fight. We have lost a lot of citizens that we cannot even count. We have lost a lot of security personnel that we cannot even count. Nobody is safe in this country. No highway is safe in this country at the moment. So the only thing that can give people a little sigh of relief is to be able to tame these terrorists that we know. We know people that have come out to say that these people, they know who brought them. There is a lot of intel that is flying left, right, and center in the north. So it is for the political leadership to be able to lead the security personnel process for them to tame them. You cannot even bring these people from the bush and begin to talk of amnesty. People who are discussing amnesty, how have you been able to resolve with the communities that have been affected? People that these people know have been killing them, you want to integrate them to be operating with them, how are they going to feel free with them? So amnesty first starts with the resolution of the community, and then secondly, you need to have a program of reintegration into the society. And so we don't even know what they have done to these people, that they are releasing them back to the society. And remember, the first time that this issue took place, we came back to realize that the same person that was reintegrated into the society went and led an attack and ambushed our military personnel, and we lost very senior military personnel in that direction. The other time, somebody that was reintegrated went and killed his family and took away the cows from the family. And now this program has not been successful. It is not about bringing people to integrate into the society. And we also know that amnesty has been given all over the world, but it is the process. It is not something you just wake up one day and go and bring somebody who has been killing Nigerians all along and want to reintegrate into the society. It doesn't work that way. So I think they should follow the rule of law and they should be able to work with Nigeria and work with the Eastern and Nigerians are giving them so that they can be able to end this. They know, just this evening, the Department of Self-Security have said that the leaders of Boko Haram are now residing in Saudi Kaduna. So if there's a security report that the leaders of Boko Haram are residing in a place, what is stopping the security personnel to pull Saudi Kaduna and fish out these people? So these are the challenge we're having is that with all the intel we're getting from the people that are affected, the security people are doing nothing about it. It obviously means that there is a problem in the political leadership.
Okay.
So if anybody indicts the security leadership to be complicit, the person is right. And that is why I agree with the governor of Benue State.
Okay. Let me move to Segun. Segun, this evening I was just watching the news and I saw a story about Miyetti Allah. But before we go to that, let's backpedal a bit. We see the situation of things as it is right now, and you and I were just, chit-chatting before the show began. We want to know exactly, I mean, we all are saying the same thing, that there is some level of insecurity more unusual than it used to be. I want to ask why you think he has deteriorated to this point. Who's responsible for the deterioration? When he did start, what kind of push and energy were we getting from security agencies in collaboration with federal government to deal with this issue? And who's responsible for why it has gotten this bad? When you're done answering that question, we'll go to the Miyetti Allah issue.
Okay. All right, Marianne. You said some things now that I think we need to interrogate. One of the things that I've always tried very, very hard to do as far as the national issues and the national narrative is concerned is I try to avoid what I would call the bandwagon, and I try to interrogate issues as much as possible, and I try to make sure that whatever I am saying is evidence-based, right? So you hear the headline, and headlines are they're newsmakers, they're click attractors, and they're paper sellers, right? So you hear the headline and it's very attractive, but if you look beyond the headline and actually look through, dig into the numbers, and the numbers are there for anybody that is really interested, you find that perhaps we may be playing a dangerous game of playing into the hands of our enemies with all of this narrative that we drive, Marianne. So now, what do I mean by this? Boko Haram are a terror organization, and what do terrorists do? They create terror. They scare people. They want people to be afraid to live their normal lives. They want people to be so afraid that they defer to them. The bandits are terrorists. Whatever name you give them, their stock in trade is to kidnap people and create enough fear of death so that they can then make, in their own case, economic gain from there. And you can go on and on, about that. So it would appear as though, as a result of political dispositions and leanings, we have played very, very nicely into the hands of these people by perhaps running a narrative that may not be backed by evidence. What do I mean by this, Marianne? So while I was preparing to speak with you this evening, I just looked for these numbers, and it's sort of shocking what the numbers are saying. The numbers are saying the exact opposite of what that headline is suggesting. Now, am I saying that everybody's safe? No. Am I saying that lives are not being lost every day? No. Am I even saying that things have not gotten worse in a particular way? No. it's all there. You can read the headlines every day, and people are dying. Kidnap incidents are high. But when you take a holistic view of where we've been coming from and where we are now, and you break and you disaggregate the numbers that you are looking at, things have actually gotten better. I mean, I know that this doesn't play into the narrative that...
Yeah, of course. I understand where you're going. Yeah, I understand, but I'm going to wait for you to get there.
Yeah, so things have actually gotten better. And as I'm talking to you right now, I'm looking at numbers. I'm looking at a graph, a chart of from the Nigeria Security Tracker. And they have information about the three major armed groups that are responsible for deaths in Nigeria. It's the Boko Haram. There's a group they call Boko Haram. Then there's the sectarian actor, as they call them, which would include the bandits and the herdsmen. And then they have other, armed actors. Where you can put, if you like, you can put the herdsmen in that category. Then state actors, and you find that the Boko Haram incidents have collapsed. It's shocking. So I'm looking at a graph where the trajectory of the graph since 2000 it peaked in 2015, middle of 2015. There was a peak in 2014, and then there was a peak in 2015. But since then, the number of incidents have continued to decline until we have, into August 2021, right? So on the Boko Haram front, things have actually gotten better. For other incidents, there have been increases over the last couple of months. There was a peak in the overall deaths per month in the overall. And it's sad that we've reduced, these are human lives we're talking about. So it's very, very sad. But, the conversation must be had regardless. The highest number of deaths per month that we've had in recent times was in April 2020. And then since April 2020, it has declined until it went slightly up again until the end of 2021. And then from April 2021 till now, it's been on a decline. Now, this is from the Nigeria Security Tracker. This is not my opinion. I also saw an article on Premium Times just now that was saying that the number of deaths has declined from last week. They do a weekly tracker, right? And that the number of incidents last week was much less, much fewer, significantly fewer than the week before.
Okay, so Sheku, let me come in because I was really waiting for you to hit the point. I totally get where you're coming from, and I understand and I support that. The numbers are declining because we're here with facts, we're here with figures. But shouldn't one life be valuable enough for us to move heaven and earth to make sure that... I asked the question yesterday to one of my guests. We keep spending monies. People are doing GoFundMes and starting all kinds of schemes to try to get monies to pay for ransoms, even though those things don't make the news. And so I asked, why do we have to spend so much money, time, and energy to try to retrieve these abductees instead of devoting the same time, energy, and money to make sure that it doesn't even happen in the first place? I totally understand that it's being reduced. It's marginally getting better. But why can we not do the needful, not put the cart before the horse, deal with the situation so it doesn't keep reoccurring? Because, for example, Kaduna State, just like Kwanam said, now we hear, according to Intel, that Boko Haram has moved base to Kaduna State. And don't also forget that Kaduna has become a playing ground for these bandits. So you keep hearing about more and more abductions. It's like a game for them because, maybe it's a money-making scheme of sorts. Why can't we not put a stop to it so that it doesn't even happen? This is my question.
Great. Absolutely, Marianne, and you are spot on, and I agree with you 100%. So let me land on my previous points. The way I was going with that previous point was to simply say that Sule Lamido's assertion is scaremongering and it's politics, and we have to call it out for what it is. It plays into the hands of the enemies, and we must not allow it, right? So to say that nobody is safe in Nigeria anymore is figurative. Yeah, yes, in a sense, in a manner of speaking, we can accept that in a manner of speaking, but it's not true. So we have to say that because we must remember that these guys are politicians and they have an interest behind everything that they do. Do you know where he went to visit and where he was coming from, right? So that's where I was going with that. And I was just trying to back that up with the numbers. Now, to the point that you've made, and I think this is very key. It's absolutely critical that we demand, and I use that word deliberately, that we demand better action from our government at the federal level and at the state level with regards to the continued incidents of kidnapping, banditry. It's all over the place. Even in the Southwest, everybody is a bit careful about wanting to travel by road. Thank God that there is a rail between Lagos and Ibadan now. People are using that a lot. It's critical that we insist that government should deploy more resources and more will. It's not a matter of the resources, in fact, Marianne, and that's the point. So we spend all of this money paying bandits ransom. Why can't we spend that money on equipping the military, the state security services for intelligence gathering, the police, the NC, civil defense, and the other security agencies to work together and crush these guys? Look, the might of the Nigerian state, if deployed with sincerity, these guys can't stand it. So clearly, something is not right with the way this banditry issue has gone. There's obviously some foul play somewhere. There's obviously some collaboration somewhere. There's obviously some sabotage somewhere. So I think it's important that Nigerians do more by way of demanding that these things be brought under control than we're currently doing. And one of the ways to do that is to...
I'm going to come back to you on that issue of Nigerians pressing home their demands, but let me go to Kwanum. Kwanum, yesterday the Middle Belt Forum had asked the federal government to name and shame those that were named by the UAE. And of course, even within Nigeria, don't forget there was a UN report about even the federal government. It implicated the members or people who work within the executive in the federal government of sponsoring, the insecurity in the country. And the Middle Belt Forum was asking that the federal government name and shame these people if we really are truly ready to put an end to the insecurity that we're facing in the country. But of course, the average person is wondering why the government is dragging its feet on this issue. As we speak, the UAE has paraded or has put out names of 6 Nigerians they think are financing terrorism in Nigeria. But then in the country in which we're feeling the pain, we're the ones who are wearing the shoe, we're the ones who are having people being kidnapped, we're the ones who are children are being taken from schools. We're yet to do the needful. And I'm wondering why, from a security perspective, is there a reason why we're keeping this under wraps or hushing it? Terence, can you hear me? Terence, are you there? Can you hear me? I think I'm going to throw the question back to Shegun because I cannot. I think we lost Terence. Shegun, did you hear my question?
Yeah, I heard your question.
Let's see if you can attempt it. Yes.
Yeah, so, from I can't give you a perspective from a security point of view since I'm not...
Terence will do that. Yeah. But as someone who's, advocating for fair play in Nigeria.
Yeah. So the question is, I think what we need to do, I can't even answer that question because it's befuddling. It's totally confusing to understand why more is not being done. I think, the point I was trying to make earlier was the Nigerian state can obviously do more than we're doing with regards to these things. Before a kidnap happens, Marianne, it is planned. It is planned, and there's a reasonably wide net of people that will be involved in that planning, right? So your intelligence society, the intelligence community, need to do more. You know, I mean, what happened to sniffer devices that can listen in on conversations? You know, what happened to the fact that we know that there are people, highly placed people in society, who knows where these guys are? How come we can't send some sort of maybe satellite-driven, what's it called now, listening device to hear the conversations and prevent the kidnaps? We know these things exist. We have the money to spend. Why spend the money paying ransom when you can actually seek the help of people with the technology required and sniff out these guys and prevent the kidnaps from happening? You know, so it's like somebody somewhere is either benefiting from this or is too lazy to go out, you know, to go after it in the right way, or perhaps there are other interests and forces at play that sort of checkmates whatever efforts the security services are making. We don't know.
Well,
you know,
these are the million-dollar questions that are begging for answers. But I think we've got Terence back. Terence, can you hear me? We lost him again. Okay. So, I mean, we have to move on with this conversation because we're almost out of time. I want to ask you this question. A Niger Delta chieftain, we all know, Robert Clark, recently was quoted to ask for military intervention in the country as to the situation that we're facing. Of course, another highly placed government official has asked for him to come and explain to us. But I'm trying to understand, we're in a democracy. We democratically elected our leaders into office. And we also have tools in which we can explore to bring these people to account. Although some of those tools have been taken away from us, like protest, we're not allowed to protest. And so there seems to be a thin line between a democratic dispensation and being under a military rule. So I'm asking, is there any grounds for Mr. Clark asking for the military to intervene in a democratic dispensation? Is that really what we need? Would that be able to save the situation? Or is that just preposterous outrightly?
I mean, look, it's, you know, when I heard that, he said it a while back. I don't know if he said it again, but when I heard that, I was shocked. I was shocked to my bone marrows because, you know, except if you are too young to remember, you know, if you've lived through it, you can't ask for it. So I wasn't too young during Abacha's reign. I was old enough to experience Buhari's first coming and Babangida after him and Abacha. And I tell you that it's a reign of terror. For the young people who think that this government is repressive, and I'm not saying they're not, you know, but for the young people who think this government is repressive, you need to have lived through those periods of military rule. You see, because the military guy does not have any check or balance. It is gone. You know, so if he tells you do this, you've got to do it. And, you know, how dare you? You can't oppose him. If you do, then you pay with your life. So it's even, and remember, like you said, we're in a democracy. So we have to find the will within us to fight the fight using the democratic
instruments. What is that way?
Because
we keep saying we still have to find a way. And I said I promised I was going to take you up on us pressing home our demands. How do we press home our demands? I'm curious because if we cannot protest, we cannot also go to a venting ground, which is Twitter. What are we left to? Which other tools can we explore to get our leaders to be accountable?
Miriam, we can't protest, and people have been protesting. People protested yesterday. People are still protesting. There is no law that says you can't protest. Such a law doesn't exist. And I think it's important that we continue to remind ourselves these things because, again, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going around in the national narrative that is simply not true. We can't protest, and we need to do more of it. What happened with NSAS was a precursor of what can happen. And we've got to do that again. No, so
how many people are you going to be able to convince to do that again? When the other time they presumably wanted to come out to do something similar, the police was picking up everybody randomly. Who wants to go to a police cell?
I know.
For people who cannot afford it, today's Nigeria, a lot of people. I mean, how much is the dollar? It's 540 naira, if I'm not mistaken.
50.
If you cannot afford a three square meal in Nigeria, can you afford to pay for bail that is supposedly free if a policeman takes you into custody because you went out to protest?
Yeah, I understand, Marianne. The point is, protest is one of the ways to demand accountability, advocacy, lobbying, civil disobedience, lawsuits. There are so many of them. And I still insist, Marianne, that we are not, as Nigerians, doing enough. It's not entirely our fault. Like you said, there are so many mitigating factors. The poverty, in the country is ridiculous. And when we say poverty, even the middle class is poor. The Nigerian middle class is still survivalist, in general outlook. So I do understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying that we can't ask for military rule. Trust me, you don't want that. Once you've experienced it, then you will know that this is just a joke, right? So if we can't ask for military rule, then the only alternative available to us is to explore the democratic instruments that are available, and we can't get tired of it. They want you and I to get tired, Marianne. They want us to tell ourselves that we can't protest. They want us to tell ourselves that, Twitter has been banned, we can't talk. They want us to say that we can't come on TV like this and say our mind. Nobody is ever going to muzzle me. I'm going to say what I'm thinking. They can't stop us, Marianne, but they will try to push a narrative to say that we can be stopped. And if we allow that, then they've won. So I think I'll leave it there, but we can do more.
Well, on that note, I want to say thank you. Segun Sopitan is of ACT Network, and he's been talking with us alongside Kwanum Terence, but then we lost connection with Terence. Thank you very much for being part of the conversation.
Thank you for having me, Marianne.
All right, thank you all for staying with us. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we will be discussing the ruling APC and speculations that there might be a mass expulsion within the party, as well as crisis in Enugu APC. We'll be right back.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 they pay.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
The ruling All Progressive Congress APC is set to go tough on members who have gone ahead with litigation without first exhausting its internal conflict resolution mechanisms. National Secretary of the party, Senator John Akpanu-Doidere, had announced the party was compiling a list of members who had ignored the resolution of the National Executive Council, asking all members to discontinue court cases instituted against either the party or its leaders. The list, he said, would be forwarded to NEC for the necessary action. Now, in Enugu, the party chapter of the state said that 41 of its members have self-expelled themselves from the party for filing a suit in a court without exhausting the internal mechanisms as provided in the party's constitution. Well, joining us to discuss this is Tunji Abdulhamid. He's a legal practitioner, and Adewale Ademola. He is a political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Good evening.
I'll start with you, Tunji, because obviously there's a lot of litigation involved in this. I know that you're not a member of the APC, but of course all political parties have internal mechanisms that need to be explored. But we also know that 2023 is around the corner, and we've seen a lot of movements, cross-carpeting here and there. But for the APC, is expulsion really the way to go right now?
It may not be the way to go, but I think if you look at the APC Constitution, particularly Article 21D, which talks about the punishment for offenses highlighted in Article 21A. One of the punishment or the major punishment for a member who decide to take the party to or party members to party to court without exhausting the internal mechanism is expulsion. In other words, automatic expulsion. That's how to put it. Automatic expulsion. So in that regard, to me, what they are trying to do is to enforce the provision of the Constitution. But to me, it may likely be against fair hearing, because even if you go to court, you should be given a chance to come and explain why you should go contrary to the provision of why should take the party to court. And I'm also aware that in that particular section, Article 1, they talk about the issue of fair hearing. So in other words, if you have done anything contrary to what is contained in the constitution of the party, the automatic expulsion used in that article, I think, is too much. There should be a room for fair hearing. You should be able to hear you, and then if they're not satisfied with your excuse, then you can. And unfortunately, again, I've looked through the APC Constitution. I have not seen specifically the internal mechanism stated in that constitution. Maybe it's another document.
Maybe it's a gentleman's agreement?
Probably. I've looked through the entire constitution. I've not been able to see the actual mechanism put in place to resolve to
deal with issues like that. Now, remember the Buni situation and the court case that still allowed for him to be governor and still sit as an executive of the party. I remember Festus Keyamo at that same point saying that these issues should be addressed. If not, the party will be open to litigations. And here we are. These litigations are happening and the party is responding by expulsion. 41 people already out in Enugu. And of course, we do not know how many more might have to leave. Let's also not forget that the APC is eyeing the Southeast. The president just, left Imo State recently. So, of course, the Southeast is part of the play that the APC is trying to make come 2023. If they're losing these many people, we can actually quickly guess where these people are going to. So once again, the internal party mechanisms may not necessarily be working in the interest of the party.
Yeah, but you can't ignore what's it called, the laid down rules and regulation on the altar of we want to win the election. That's why we're not growing in this country. Sometimes we allow sentiment to override our position. In other words, we want to ignore the clear laid down provision of the law, and in the interest of if we do this, we may not be able to win this, we may not be able to get this, we may not be able to get that. We now condone, and thereafter we'll be complaining. I think if you are a member of a party and there are clear provision of your constitution, you need to follow the constitution. If you fail to follow, they will be at liberty to punish you and or apply the appropriate punishment for your acts. But what I'm trying to say is that, look, Even any provision of the Constitution which takes away your fundamental right of fair hearing, that Constitution, to an extent, to me, will not be, it's not justifiable, because even in the Constitution, to section Article 2 of the APC Constitution, they said the party constitution is supreme, subject to the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And Section 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Section 35 provide for fair hearing of an individual. So if you say, I can't go to court if I'm aggrieved, yes, you said they must exploit the internal mechanism. If that internal mechanism will not give me what I'm looking for, in other words, there's an emergency which I need to get redressed, or I need to get something to remedy it, what will happen? So those are they have to also consider that. But looking at the fact that, look, people will move. This is the time for people to move from one party to another. Everybody, we have people in politics today in this country who are not there for anybody's interest. They are just using the party as a mechanism to get what they are looking for. And that's why we're having people moving from one particular party to the other.
Let me go to Adewale. Adewale, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Great. Let's examine what's going on within the APC now. I mean, we know that the two major political parties are experiencing, some sort of shake-up. But looking at the trail of, what's been happening in the APC with the Buni issue, him still sitting there and all of the cracks within the party. We saw what the congresses at the local government congresses came to. There's still factions who still do not agree with the outcome of that Congress. And October, or rather, I think so, October 1, we're going to have the state congresses across the country for the APC. Yep. And if the issues in the local governments have not been addressed, who's to say that the state congresses will go smoothly?
Thank you very much. Barrister Abdulaziz, I just want to salute you once again, my good friend and barrister.
Thank you.
See, he said something categorical. The party has a constitution, but the constitution is not supreme to the constitution of the country. But now, at a period like this in the history of the nation, this is when you see ship jumping. Politicians are meant at this period by our primordial sentiment to be jumping parties, moving from one place to the other. And there are conditions precedent to that. Misbehavior, act of disloyalty, an open show of shame or disgrace to one's party automatically expels a party man. So like he has quoted the Constitution, a section of the Constitution, the article he mentioned, very, very good. But like I said some time ago, in as much as it is not a criminal issue, there might be no contention with any part of the content of the nation's constitution. A party constitution would go ahead to deal with whoever, as long as the person hears. That is one. Number two, the issue of ship jumping. See, a lot of people deliberately will misbehave now because they want to move or they are calling attention of the party. The president was in the East a while ago, and particularly something is going to happen in Anambra. So it's a foreplay to seeking a way and mean of winning Anambra to APC. So APC party men in Anambra have an opportunity to misbehave, so to say, so as to attract the attention of the party at the central, so as to carry one or two things to become relevant. So some of the behaviors now that may be logically, they may be literally misbehavior, are seen to me or by me as deliberate acts of behaviors, trying to inspire that expulsion because people want to jump ship. Thank you very much.
Now, I just want to take your attention back because I asked about the local government congresses and, of course, the state congresses that are coming up. Aside from the fact that, people are trying to get attention, there are people who genuinely feel that who are aggrieved as to how certain things have been done within the party, and they feel that they deserve fair hearing. I remember when the party also said they were dealing with their issues internally. But if those issues seem to keep continuously raising its ugly head, again I ask, what would be the fate of the state congresses come October the 2nd?
No, I don't expect them to do anything substantially different. They would, in all forms and all tendencies, support the mode of the party. It is whoever, as a party man, that falls off that ship that will be thrown up into the ocean. Do you understand?
Yes.
In as much as the polity is becoming hot and the sentiment is becoming right, the party, through its executive, you saw the Buni issue. So while being here as an executive and on the other side, at the same time, it should uphold the integrity and the dignity of the party. But if by any act, any party man appears to be anti-party, the party will work against him. Then whoever is still within the party and holding up an eye, the flag of the party, will definitely defend what the party wants done.
Let me come back to you, Tunji. He's made very interesting points as to what the party is going to do going forward. But we also saw, I remember this issue started when they started the re-registration of party members. We saw what happened in Kwara State. As we still speak, the three big wigs in Kwara State that are still at loggerheads. We have the Minister for Information, we have the Governor, and we also have the sister of the former Speaker, Bemi Sola Saraki, and all of these people are obviously fighting for some form of superiority. And we see the same in different other states. We also see Ekiti State also has some issues within the state. And there are also factions who are saying, well, we side with this person, and this is the person we're going to support. I remember there's a group that supports the former governor of Lagos State who also feel that they have been sidelined. And so it makes me really wonder and bother about how this issue of zoning, because the APC is not really open to zoning as the PDP. They have different ways of dealing with the issue of candidature. How do we see all of this playing out come the National Congress in itself? Because we're gradually gearing up to it. By November, we'll start seeing a lot more drama.
Yes, you will see a lot more drama because you see, these local government, world congresses, and whatever are the basic foundation for you to achieve whatever you want to achieve at the national level. You know that people are eager to, or there are a lot of controversies regarding this local government because that is the area. Anybody who is able to get hold of those world congresses, local government congresses, or state congresses will have a chance of controlling the party in it. So in other words, this fight is about control of the party. So who wants to control the party? How do you control the party? In my state, for instance, now, in Kwara State, like you said, there are more than 3 in the APC. They have so many tendencies. They are all on the same, although majority of them are partially together, leaving the governor as a one-man standing. So as I'm talking to you, they have 2 party secretariats as APC in Kwara State. One by Lai Mehmed and Co., then one by the governor. The chairman, Bolaniwa, is currently in court against the national chairman of the APC. He wants him to be removed. That is not properly there. I also have a reservation for that, and it's a gun of what's it called, kettle of gunpowder for APC. It may likely affect APC in the future if care is not taken. Okay. So I think the issue of congresses, if it's not properly taken care of, will rub on what happens at the national.
Finally, Adewale, because we're out of time, so you have the last word on this one. The same issue that he's talking about in Ekiti is the same that's happening in River State. Let's not forget the Honorable Minister of Transportation and the factional leader of the APC, Senator Magnus Abe, are also facing the same situation. There's a faction of the party that is under Senator Magnus Abe who feels marginalized. And then, of course, the minister's faction who also say that they're the legal drivers of the party. So we have seen several parallel primaries or congresses take place in River State. These are very important key states for the APC. So what does the future hold in closing?
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier, because of the season now, the polity is heating up and so many things are coming up. So like you have just highlighted, the Buni and so many other issues are expected because people seek relevance. And internal cracks on the walls of the party have been existing before now. But, because we are too close to the toll gate of the next election, attention must drift towards that. And like I said, at all times and for all purposes, the party, in order to withhold influence and control, will flush whoever does not uphold the integrity of the party out.
Well, at the expense of losing more of its members? Well, I think that question is for the APC to answer. Tunji Abdulhamid is a legal practitioner and Adewale Ademola is a political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you very much.
We will take a short break to hear what Nigerians have to say about their safety in this country. And when we return, I'll say my goodbyes.
I believe being safe in this nation now depends on you yourself. Because if you're talking about the government is trying their own ability. But personally, we need to intensify more effort on our own personal security. In terms of you being in your house, make sure your house is safe. In terms of the locks. And apart from that, we are all security men to ourselves. What I mean by that is each person should be a neighborhood watch to himself and to his community.
The way we are feeling this Nigeria today is we are in God's hand. May God help us. So we cannot say about the way Nigeria is going now.
Not safe for Nigeria. Nigeria thinks everything are very hard. Even those soldiers are suffering in Meduguri. For how long? Some women, their husband are dying there without be a widow. It's not a good thing now. We are not feeling safe. Even though this Lagos, we are every time kidnap small children. I don't see that we are safe in this country.
When I go out and I see the mass movement of people across board, from the northeast to the northwest to the southwest to the southeast, if you see the mass movement of people on the road, I wonder if it's true that we are facing insecurity in this country. So I can put it in between. Fine, critically some places are in terrible security situation, while some places are very, very safe. So like Lagos, for instance, Lagos is very, very safe. There is no issue of insecurity abounding here in Lagos, unlike what we hear in the news every day. But the more we hear it, we have counter proposal coming back against whatever you are talking about, insecurity in the nation. So to me, I stand in between. I can't really say whether the country is safe or the country is not.
Well, I want to thank you all for being part of the show tonight. Let's keeping positive news on our radar. Of course, the negative news will always be there, but let's also try to project the positivity in Nigeria. I am Mary Anna Kona. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good evening.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thoughts and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversation